Good morning, Chaverim. Likoutey Moharan, Tinyana. We're on Ot still. Really, what we should do now is open that Gemara. I don't think I should be taping today. We should be opening that Gemara to see with Rabbi Akiva. But maybe we'll go a little further. We'll finish the Diot and maybe we can come back to it.
Which Gemara is it?
It's Gemara in Menachot. But I don't think we're looking at because I need to look with all the Yaakov and the function. I want to feel it out really. Okay, so Zayin Tinyana Ot Chet. Now we're speaking about Moshe Rabbeinu. And we're going to keep the train of thought always, right? So the tzaddik is Rachman. The tzaddik is mercy. Mercy means saving people from sin. The way to save people from sin is from praying for them and to give them that. When you give that, you create a Talmud. When you create a Talmud, you create or a son. It's a son or a Talmud. And really the son and Talmud is one thing. When you do that, you stay in the world after 120 years. You're still around when you go up to Shemayim. You're still here giving over through them because they receive from you. When you give over that, likewise you get a makif. Whatever you know, when you give over what you know, which is called the pnimi, you download a new intellect, which is called the makif. Things that were above you didn't know. The way to keep growing is to keep giving over. But the makif of the tzaddik is a makif which is a makif of olam haba, which is very, very great. And the tzaddik needs to know which makif to bring down. If it brings down a makif which is too big, it's going to be problematic. And we need to have a birur on that as well. And this can be understood from a person who teaches Gemara Rashi Tosfos. When you're teaching Rashi Tosfot, if you have a simple pshat, you understand the simple pshat. When you're teaching, you get a question. That question was a makif. Now it becomes a pnimi. When it goes inside of you, so when it comes inside of you, it's a pnimi. If you give it over, you give over your pnimi, you get a new makif. So you got a question on the Gemara, and you got the answer. If you give her the answer, you're going to get a new question. You might confuse everybody. Hold off. Don't say it. Don't say it. Then we said the same thing with the tzaddik. The tzaddik has to know which makif to bring down, and we explained the paparot that explains that that's talking about a tzaddik that has to know that really what he's bringing down is to give over to the world. If there's no point to the world, then it's even not so important by him. He has no merit himself, and the people are not going to benefit. Don't bring it down. All this to get to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, what was happening with Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu went to Shemayim. He saw Hashem putting crowns on the letters. In the crowns and the letters, he said, "Mi me'akev al yadecha." He said, "Mi me'akev al yadecha." Who is forcing you to do this? And Hashem told him, Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva is going to learn Tinyana. He's going to learn everything of that. And Moshe Rabbeinu told him, "Why don't you give the Torah to Rabbi Akiva?" Told him, "Shtok." Quiet. Explains Rabbeinu, shtok, be quiet. Now that you know the answer, because you said the pnimi, you know why Rabbi Akiva was chosen over you, because when you had it inside of you, when you didn't know it, you didn't understand it, you have a question. Your question is a pnimi. When you say your question, you get the answer, which is a makif. Now you know why you've been chosen after Moshe. You should be chosen instead of Rabbi Akiva. But if you say the answer to me, and we have to see what that means, but maybe it means another argument why you should still put Rabbi Akiva. If you're going to say that, you're going to get another question, and the question is going to be so problematic that it's going to confuse everything. Hold off, don't say anything. Shtok, kach alav b'machshava. I want to show you 1 second what the paparot says on this Gemara, because it's really very meduyak. You don't have it inside it, you guys don't have it. I'm going to show it to you. Says the paparot. Kitarin daika. Okay, I'm reading the paparot. Kishana Moshe nemarom, matzon lekadosh baruch hu shaya kosher kitarim notiyot. So he sees Hashem putting on crowns on the letters. רוצה לומר, כי כל עניין מאמר רבותינו היה מבואר בזה. כי גם הקדוש ברוך הוא בעצמו מקיים גם כן בחינת סייג ענן. Look at this. Hashem also is מקיים. Hashem also puts a limit to what he teaches. Hashem does not overwhelm you with information. Hashem is only giving you what something is not going to confuse you. About tshuva. It's coming close to Torah. Hashem will orchestrate that he's only hearing the things that he's supposed to hear. Not going too high his level. You're going to give him too much right now, you're going to explode him in pieces. You have people that are coming close, and you know that they're doing things not right. You know they're starting to do Shabbat, they're starting to kosher, but you know on the other hand some relationships which are not proper. If you're going to go tell them, it's asur and it's karet, and if you're going to start going there, what you're going to do is you're actually going to overwhelm them with changes that they're going to have to make, and they're going to let go of kashrut and Shabbos as well. So you got to know how to be very matun, to let the guy in his growth and know when exactly to give him the next bit of information. Otherwise, you're going to overwhelm him. Hashem does that also. Hashem is orchestrating also with us how much Torah to give, not to overwhelm us. Also with the tzaddik. So that's ki be'emet shlemut be'orei Torah u'bichnat ein sof. The Torah is endless. The perfection of the Torah is no limits. רק מחמת שאין ביכולתנו נשיא כל כך, על כן צמצם הקדוש ברוך הוא את אור התורה ועשה סייג לדבריו, ואישר בדעתו הקדושה מה לגלות בפרטיות, בכתב ומה בעל פה. Great yesod you're getting here. The stories of the Torah. What is that? That's the Torah itself. It's levushim. It's all and sof. It's names of Hashem, which is knowledge of Hashem, that is dressed up in stories and stories. In Kidva Arizal, it's a whole birur. Anakudim, Nikudim, and Berudim, and Lavan is the Loven Elyon. All these are mirames to olamot and tzimtzumim and how Hashem brought down, and it's dressed up in a story, which the story really happened. And there's a lot of musar in the story. And a kid can learn the story, and an adult can learn the story, and you can see diukim and chidushim, and dressed up in those stories are, how did Yaakov Avinu act? How did Leah act? So that means it's a musar for me, and I'm going to be able to grow. But he's not overwhelming me. He's letting me read the story at 5 years old, and then read it again at 10, and read it again every year, and sort of adding information on it. And that's all Torah shebichtav. That we can write down. Some is Torah shebat peh, it's even higher. Hashem knows what we can write, what we need to keep in oral tradition. וכמובן לכמן בפנים להיות י"ד, שגם החכם אומר לפעמים דיבורים שהם רק בחינת רמזים בעלמא בחינת ידיים. Even the tzaddik, we're going to see later, he says things which are not even written. They're a remez, b'chinat yadayim. We can't say things fully. We're not able to. It'll overwhelm the people that are here. Only somebody that really is in tune with the tzaddik, he can understand the remez. Rabbi Natan understood the remazim. That's why he was able to build up Chassidut Breslev. The remazim would have been too high for the Talmidim. They couldn't even chap it. The tzaddik is always working in remez because we don't want to overload. We don't want to give a boost of energy which is too much for the system to hold. So even the tzaddik is doing remazim, so Hashem is also doing remazim. זה גם כן מחמת שצריך לעשות סייג לדבריו kasher yivra likaman. We're going to see later that the tzaddik also has to do a sayag. He has to protect a fence. Don't say too much, but you got to give over the information to some who could actually get it in a refined way. It's called a remez. זה בחינת מה שהקדוש ברוך הוא קושר כתרים נטיות. What is he doing? He's putting crowns. לרמז אל ידם מה שאי אפשר לגלות בפרטיות מחמת הסייג. Why not just tell me? What are you doing with those? What are these crowns? Thousands of anachot. Tell me the anachot. I can't. You're not on a level. Only Rabbi Akiva can get the remez of the tag. Only he can understand what I mean by this crown, which is just a hint in the letter. Why in this letter yes, and this letter no? Why in this type? Why in this word? There are tagim. This word, there's no tagim. The old Sifrei Torah, with the Tamanim, different Nesorot, there were certain words that had tons of tagim, and a pei that had tagim in the inside, and merufaf, and all kinds of letters that we almost lost them as Soviets. We lost a lot of those. But it was all kinds of letters that had special things on them. וזה שאמרו קושר כתרים, כתרים דייקה. What's כתר? נרמוז בהם, בחינת מקיף העניונים הגדולים. מאוד שם בחינת כתר. We said before that the shefa of keter, the highest sphira, is where the makif is from. You went up in level. You got up to chokhmah, bina, dat. You have chokhmah, you have bina, you have dat, but something above you, keter. Keter is above the head. Keter is on top of that. It's not in the head. So the kitarim is a makif. It's a remez. It's something above the chokhmah. Amarnu Moshe Rabbeinu, Ribbono shel olam, mi me'akev al yadecha. We explained the simple pshat sounds to be, who needs that? What does he mean? Here he says, כי בשלמי חכם צריך לעשות סייג לדבריו, מחמת שהוא מלובש עדיין בגופניות בבחינת תוך הזמן. We said before, why does the tzaddik need to do a sayag? We need to do a sayag, so the tzaddik should not get something too overwhelming. If I give you my pnimi, but I don't put a limit on what I'm saying, so that I give over everything, so I'm going to get a new makif. The new makif might be too much for the system to withstand. So that's understood for the tzaddik. But Hashem, why do you need to put things in remez? Why do you need to put a sayag? you're getting a makif, which there's no makifim that you're scared of, and there's actually no makifim for you. Everything is you. So why do you need to put a sayag? V'im lo yaseh sayag lidvarav, az yuchan likanes b'asagot makifim kelu shem lemana mezman. Kol afunim, אבל אצל השם יתברך אין שייך זאת. All this doesn't apply to God. ואם תאמר שאפשר לבאר הכל בבחירתיות, כי יהיה למעלה מאוד מהשגת דעתנו, okay, so maybe it's for us. Maybe you can't tell us the secrets and these big makifim, because we're not able to handle them. אם כן, למה נהיה כתרים? כיוון שאפשר לנו להשיג אותם. So what is the benefit of it? If you want to tell me that the makif, if you can't get in the makif, that obviously it's not true. So maybe the makif is for us. But if the makif is for us, so we can't get the makif. So why give a hint of the makif in the keter? So that's the pshat. Mi me'akev al yadecha. Who's holding you back to do this? What is stopping you? Mi me'akev. Why? Mi me'akev yadecha. Who is making you give the makif? Who's making you hold back the pnimi not to get a bigger makif? Meaning you can get bigger makifs because there are no makifim by you. And if it's for us, well, we don't need them because we can't get anything from it. Amanu Kadosh Baruch Hu, Atid echad lamod, shedoresh kol kotz, ki Rabbi Akiva yasig sod haremazim shebakterim halelu. Rabbi Akiva will chap them. He's going to get the remez over there. There'll be one person that can understand the hint that I'm trying to give. So I'm giving over the sechel, but always in a makif, in a remez. In a hint. Because somebody who has the big dot, he's going to be able to go in there and grab it. So give it to him. Doesn't say what. But the Papa is saying Moshe Rabbeinu probably had a big shayla over here. A big claim on Hashem. And then he continues the whole thing that's continuing. All the rest of that ot. So what do we see over here? That Hashem himself is also putting a sayag. It's a big pirush. Hashem himself is giving a limit on what he can teach. He's not teaching everything. He's giving things only in remez. You know, we're going to see later in the Papot is saying that when you have a mitzvah de Rabbanan, and you are going to say, Shek Disham Mitzvotav Tzibanu Ladik Ner Chanukah. Shek Disham Mitzvotav Tzibanu Ala Eruv. That's all the Rabbanan. Eruv Tavshilim, Eruv Tchumin, Ner Shabbat. There's not written anywhere in Torah that you have to light Shabbos candles. And on every week you're saying, Shek Disham Mitzvotav Tzibanu Al Asher Kideshanu V'Tzivanu. You told us. So when did Hashem tell us? So the Gemara says, he told us to listen to Chachamim. The Asher Kideshanu V'Tzivanu, what we're saying, is that you commanded us to listen to the rabbis. That the rabbis chapped. But the Gdolei Ador, they understood certain things. Hashem couldn't give it. It couldn't be written. It needs to be only in remez. You got to get to the highest level to understand Ratzon Hashem. But really, guess what? The candles of Shabbos were really a big makif, but for whatever reason, that you couldn't write them, and only the tzaddik in his chokhmah, the Sanhedrin, they understood, they did a takanah that we got to bring this down. But it's all chumad Hashem, but it's coming from the tzaddik, that he understood the remez. Why it has to be like that, we have to figure out. But that's the way it goes.
Peut-être parce que ça vient d'un homme, qu'on apprend d'un homme, que c'est plus accessible pour nous aussi.
You're saying very good, David. All of these reasons is to show you that since the tzaddik can get to such a high level that he can understand the hidden messages that Hashem is getting, it's going to make you believe also that yes, it's accessible to you. It's more of a tzimtzum, but also that you could get there also. You can work on yourself and you can get to certain places. You know that many of the biggest things that we had with Rabbeinu were not said miforash. They were all biremazim to Rabbi Natan. Did you know that Rabbi Natan, when Rabbeinu passed away, he took care of a few things. He said that Tikkun Klali that same day, he took care of a little bit of the estate of Rabbeinu, and then he went looking for another Rebbe. Can you imagine? Rabbi Natan was a young man. He was 32, 33. He knew Rabbeinu, he met Rabbeinu at 23. And Rabbeinu passed away when he was 32, 9 years. And he lived till 65, Rabbi Natan. And he went to look for a new Rebbe. He went to the Apter Rov. Because Rabbeinu once spoke a Shevach of the Apter Rov. So he went to him. And then he realized, no, there's nobody that can replace Rebbe. And then it started to come back to him, all the things that Rabbeinu had told him after all the years. And it was realized that everything was in hint, everything was in remez. Rabbeinu was giving over everything to him. Even the Uman Rosh Hashanah, a guy's going to come and tell you, it's not written anywhere that Rabbeinu said. Did Rabbeinu say even after his passing away that you have to come Uman Rosh Hashanah? It's not written in Likoutey Moharan. It's Rabbi Natan that understood it from the last Rosh Hashanah of Rabbeinu. That Rabbeinu knows he's going to pass away in 18 days. And he's speaking, and you have to be by me on Rosh Hashanah. What does he say, after 120 years? Well, he did speak about the Tikkun Klali, that's Mifurash, with 2 witnesses. But many things that Rav Nosson understood from Rabbeinu was all beremez. And why is it like that? Because certain things are so high for what we have to figure out together that they can't be brought into words. We can't say them, we can't overwhelm. And actually, Rabbeinu said he has a few reasons why he doesn't force. He doesn't force anything on a person. He leaves the free will of the person. One of the reasons is, like we saw in Chaim Moran a few days ago, that anything that Rabbeinu tells you outright to do becomes impossible to do. It becomes too hard. Like we said, Rabbeinu says, if you want to do it bodedut, because the Rambam says, or because it's written in old sources, it's going to be easy for you. If you want to do it bodedut, because Rabbeinu says, it becomes extremely hard. Very hard. Nachon? You want to do a trip, you want to do anything for Rabbeinu. Once Rabbeinu said it, the miniyot become almost superhuman. So Rabbeinu, to allow things to happen, has to not say it from himself, so that it will actually be able to become fulfilled. If somebody understands the remez and the hint, and he's going to be able to overcome all the obstacles, because they're not unsurmountable obstacles, because Rabbeinu didn't take it out of his mouth. Amazing. And also, Rabbeinu also wanted to leave free choice. You have to have free choice. And if Rabbeinu tells you something, there's no free choice. I have to. So they're always like this free choice. Rabbeinu was willing. It's also in Tinyana v'lo lidchok et hasha'ah. He's never forcing any issues, even if everything depends on it. Famous story of Rabbi Natan. Maybe I'll tell you these 2 stories and we'll go. Rabbi Natan was the son-in-law of David Siorbach. David Siorbach was a Gaon in Ukraine, one of the big Rabbanim of Ukraine. He was Rab on three major regions in Ukraine. It's like you say the Rab of like Lakewood, of Monsey, and of Brooklyn. He has all of that. And he wanted to put Rabbi Natan to take over one of his positions, to be Abbeidin. Rabbi Natan was a young man. It was the beginning of his Yitkaf with Rabbeinu. And he came into Rabbeinu and he told Rabbeinu, my father wants to make me become a Rav. Rabbeinu says, great. Rabbeinu told, by the way, over there, if I remember well, Rav Nosson told him that I'm scared. I'm scared of saying a psak. He said, very good. You want a Rav that's not scared? A Rav has to be scared to stay a psak. And by the way, he told him over there, so long as you have one opinion that's a real musmach, valid posek, go with it. Don't be scared. You have a shach, you have a taz, you're not going to have a Rav, go. So long as it's not a dat yachid, you're good to go. It's good for us to know in halakha as well. Not to be scared, to be overwhelming chumot. There's an opinion, it's a majority opinion, you're going with it. Of course, if you're Sephardi, Ashkenazi, you should know your Pesach. Rav Nosson was he told him, Rebbe, it's emes. He told him emes. Is it truth to do this? Yes. He turned around, he got to the door, he said, Rebbe, emes na misor. I told him, no, stay with me. Stay here. Now imagine Rabbi Natan wouldn't ask the last question. Rabbeinu understood, that Rabbeinu said on Rav Nosson, that if it wouldn't be for him, we wouldn't have one page. We wouldn't have one page. There was a few Torahs, Ein Bet, Ein Gimel, till around Kuf over there, that were written, Mishon Chaverim, they're not Miduyak. We would have a few vorts here and there. And we would have a tzaddik, and we'd do a yortzeit and drink l'chaim. That's what it would be. All of the Likoutey Moharan was written by Rabbi Natan. He's the one that was Mikabetz the group. He made sure people came to the Kibbutz for Rosh Hashanah. He made sure the Kibbutz up. He built the cloins. He printed all the other books. He wrote the Dikatachot. He was going around and speaking about Rabbeinu. Instead of going to new rabbis, go to Rabbeinu. And he was just a conduit to go over what Rabbeinu said. What did we say in Chaim Moran? I saw Rabbeinu. So if you can hear from me or hear from the Rebbe. Rabbeinu was willing to let all of that go, not to force an issue. And it was almost beremes. Like maybe in the eye where Rabbeinu was telling him emes, he understood that it's... I have a person that went to Rav Kenning's Zatzal, and he had a question. And he asked him, I'm not going to say what it is here on the tape, but he asked him, can I do this? And al pi halacha there is heterim. to be in that type of work. And the Rav told him, okay. When he came out, he said, you know what? He told me yes with his mouth. With his eyes, he told me no. I can't explain it to you. And then he went back and told him, Rav, and he said, oh, you got it. With the eyes, he told him no. With the words, he told him yes. Maybe Rabbeinu was telling him emes, but with his eyes, he was telling him, I hope you ask something more. Rav Nosson asked it. And Rav Nosson, if he wouldn't have came to Rabbeinu, what would have been with him? He would have been a great Gaon. He would have been shooting maybe. Maybe we had yeshiva with Mem and Talmidim. And Rav Nosson would have been in one of another Gdolim. But what he did saved Breslev. That Breslev exists in the world because of Rav Nosson. And Rabbeinu was not going to force that. Certain things, and then afterwards, all the things that came back to him all the years of how to run the company of Breslev, Rav Nosson knew it many things from Remazim, not from Diburim Meforashim.
Would it have been somebody else if not Rabbeinu Natan?
Rabbeinu was willing not to force. Rabbeinu understands that you got to let Hashem run the show. And Rabbeinu explains that the ta'ut of the tzaddikim, which we learned this year in Rosh Hashanah, which is coming up in Chaim Moharan, was lidchok et hasha'ah. David HaMelech, what sin could he do? What sin could Moshe Rabbeinu do? What sin could Shlomo HaMelech do? You think they're going to do Averah? It's not Averot. It's trying to do good things too fast. Marry Bathsheba. 1 second, she's sort of married. She gave a get, nobody's going to realize. And I know that I'm getting Shlomo HaMelech from Bathsheba. Shlomo HaMelech was born from Bathsheba. Should have waited. Should let it come to you. Moshe Rabbeinu, Zohar says, he brought the Erev Rav in. Because Erev Rav, we want to do the Tikkun already. Bring in the ones that are not ready. Force it on them. Shlomo HaMelech marries 1,000 wives. Why does he do that? It says, so, no yarbenu nashim. If I marry the wives, you think he has an interest in women? Chas v'shalom. If I marry the princess of the king of every nation, so now they become Jewish, and I'm now the king of that nation. So I'm putting 7 mitzvot b'noach in the Torah on the whole world. But Hashem said you're not allowed. Let Hashem do it. So Rabbeinu learned from the mistake of the tzaddikim, which is very, very, how does Rabbeinu know it's wrong? Because we point out in the Gemara and then Chazal that Shlomo HaMelech did a mistake. So Rabbeinu learns from that, lo ditchok esham. He's willing for it not to happen because it's not the time. I'm doing my job. And if Hashem wants Rabbi Natan to stay, he's going to make him stay. I'm not going to force it. There's a story like that with Rav Amon. I'll tell it to you tomorrow.